This is 91.3 FM, WCUW in Worcester, Massachusetts, the Dr. Chris Radio of Horror program. And tonight on Radio of Horror, calling to us from Las Vegas, one of the world's greatest magicians and a fine voiceover actress herself, we have Misty Lee on the show with us. Thank you for coming on the show with us, Misty.
Hey, baby, how you doing? I'm very, very happy to be here.
Okay, that made me laugh.
Good. That was what it was intended to do, is at least make you smile, and I got a laugh, which is better than I was going for. So, hey, you know, with a very high bar.
Hey, if all that hocus pocus stuff don't work out, you can just do a stand-up.
Yeah, that's a really hard job that I don't think I ever want.
Now, I was trying to read, get an exact, fact that, are you the first female to make it big as a magician?
No, there have been several others. Princess Tenko comes to mind. She was a young woman who had actually her own cartoon show overseas. And another woman here in the States by the name of Melinda called herself the First Lady of Magic, and in the 90s had a couple of specials on TV.
Okay.
So, and there are other women who are on TV way more than I am and are doing just fine. Mm-hmm. I am, however, the very first female magician to perform the seances at a place in Hollywood called the Magic Castle. And what the Magic Castle is a huge mansion full of magicians, and they consider themselves the world mecca of magic. And so it's quite an honor to be included as one of their on-staff magicians, and I am the very, very first female magician to have ever been invited to take up a residency in that room, or in general. You know, they have female magicians performing there all the time, and they have a female magician who's a librarian. But as far as bringing a performer on staff, I am the first broad in the almost 60, well, it's 50-some years of the place that has been invited to do that, and that's pretty rad.
That is quite a quite an honor.
Thanks.
There have been females before you. Was it hard to break in?
Right. I get what you're asking, and I think that for every magician, male or female, there is a curve of learning, experience, releasing your hubris, caring too much, caring not enough, and then finally letting go and being who you are. I don't think that that is gender specific. There are a lot of women who would argue that it is. I would definitely say for me, because I'm bold and ridiculous as far as that stuff goes and have a zero tolerance policy when it comes to BS, that it was not as difficult a journey as other women would have you think a woman's journey should be in magic, meaning I have some pretty high, powerful friends in magic, thank goodness, who are also very, very wonderful mentors who give me zero BS. It's just honest mentorship. There's no weird personal relationship or energy that goes with it. It's just honest people who are at the pinnacle of their art form giving great advice and solid, kind of mean sometimes, but it's exactly what I need, feedback. So as a woman, was it hard to break in? No. Is a magician's journey to make it and start making money a difficult one? Yes, and that's for several reasons. First and foremost being there are a lot of bad magicians, so people don't really think that magic is worth the value. Second being that a lot of people think, oh, well, if you can just buy that trick for $25, then I should just pay you $25 for the trick and you should come and do it for the privilege of performing. And it's like, well, yeah, but to do it well, I have to have 25 years, and I don't have that many. I have 15, but okay, we'll say that. I have 15 years of magic experience under my belt, knowing what audiences like and don't like, so I was able to vet this effect. I know it's going to work every time because I have enough skill with my hands at this point to make sure that it fires on time every time. And you're going to get the creativity that comes with 15 years of performing experience. So I'm worth a little more than $25, and if you're not willing to pay that, you can't have me. And there are a lot of bad magicians that just love to be a hobbyist, they will kind of sometimes bring the value of magic down. It is roaring right back into the zeitgeist right now. So we're enjoying a flourish. But even shows like, and I'm telling tales out of school here, that I haven't, necessarily agreed to do, that I almost just named, and my flow of consciousness will not allow me to actually mention it by name on the air. There is a very popular show on one of the channel. I'm going to say what channel it is. It's on the CW right now with a bunch of different magicians. And those magicians come in. They work sometimes an 8 to 10 hour day. Their act is featured and it is in perpetuity. They own it. And they get $300 to $500 for the whole day.
Wow.
No, That sounds like an awful lot of money, but when you calculate the fact that for me, I would have to bring in assistants, get a U-Haul truck, or get some way to travel and haul and schlep that stuff all the way over there and spend all those hours in that studio in makeup with it sweating off and being replaced and all the rest of the stuff that goes with shooting a live TV show, that pay is pennies. And being a member of the union, I'm very fortunate, SAG-AFTRA I mean, I'm very fortunate to enjoy royalties on broadcast programs. This show is a non-union gig and offers none of those benefits, so there isn't even future promise of pay. It's the $300 to $500 that you get for your performance fee, and then it's game over if they want you again or not.
Game over, man. Game over.
Yeah, kind of. And so, yeah, and I got a call from them one day that said, so-and-so wants to meet you. And I said, well, one of the executive producers. And I said, well, that's very nice. I would love to meet him too. But I am on my way to a show at Morongo Casino. And it's 10 in the morning, and I have to be there at 1 o'clock. And they said, stop in before you leave. It's very important. He wants to see you today. And I said, if it's very important, then he will understand that as a performing magician, he's going to have to wait to see me till next week. It can't be an emergency because I don't even know him. I don't care about his emergency. And I mean, I don't mean to be a snot, but come on now. I've got a working paying gig. I know what you pay. And no, we ain't playing that game. So I got this call, and they were really, really nasty. And they said, he will not wait until next week. You come in today or you are not coming in at all. And I said, well, I guess that's settled. Bye-bye. I hung up, and I'm not on these TV shows. And that's part of the reason why. And some of them, 2 of them I turned down. 1 of them, the pay was insulting. 2 of them, the pay was insulting. 1 of them, the casting was insulting because they wanted to put me on a show where I had to choose to lose. It was some kind of a competition. Choose to lose to another magician whom I absolutely don't respect. And
wait, hold on, back up. I don't mean to interrupt you, but back up one quick second. So you say choose to lose. Is it like a wrestling competition where they flip a coin?
It was kind of no. It was the show was actually quite fine, and they did just fine without me. But it was one of those situations where it just was not appropriate for me. And a lot of these shows that are on TV right now just kind of aren't. So we're doing our own thing and we're making our own way. And I'm to the point now where I kind of don't care. We're finding our audience. They love us. We love them. We're having a great time. We're making money doing it. Uh-huh. And we're really, really happy and fulfilled creatively. And as a person who works in an art form, I can't imagine anything more fulfilling.
Now, would you take like a gig like on, let's say, Supernatural, the TV series where the 2 brothers run around the Impala killing demons? If they called you up as a consultant and offering you to be like the act that the boys go see for the episode for like you got maybe 5 to 10 minutes of screen time, would you take that?
In a heartbeat. That sounds like fun to me.
Okay.
I have a couple of rules as far as...
And you get killed off. I mean...
Fine. I don't care. Kill me. And you know what? Even better if they're going to build like a body structure or some fake eyeballs that are going to explode. I would love that.
It's the CW. It's not that. It's usually like the wall gets the shot of the blood coming from your body.
Fine. I would love it. I would absolutely love that stuff. And a lot of times for me, the cheesier the better. I just like to have fun. And when fun is involved, sometimes pay is way negotiable to me. But when there isn't fun involved and the pay is bad, so if the pay is good, okay, good. If there's fun involved, absolutely. If it's artistically going to make me grow as a creative or teach me something I didn't know before, then that's also a yes. And those are the 3 reasons that I would take a job for.
A year after I started this show, back in 2007, and then like a year later in 2008, I ran into a woman who I was helping just her stuff. I forget, I think I was working at a job, and she was telling me about her husband. He just came back from cancer treatment. I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. What did your husband, who's your husband? What did he do? And she's like, he's kind of retired, but he used to be a magician. But our son doesn't want to carry it on. He wants to do his own thing, and we have no one to carry on the long line of. I don't remember the guy's name. This was again like 8 years ago, and
I'm like ready to call her and be like, "I'll take all your stuff."
Well, in 2008, if I had thought about having you on the show, that probably would have been like, hold on a second. I just had.
Chris, you need Doctor Who now. You need to go back to Chris of 8 years ago and let him know that there's somebody waiting.
And she's like, he has everything. He's got like a trap door set. It's all in this warehouse because we have no place to put it and we want to sell it, but we're not finding a magician to buy it. And he's got like guillotine. He's got like tons of like cloaks that have tricks sewn into them for different things, and she's going on into detail, and I'm like, oh my god, I gotta quit everything I do and become a magician.
Right?
How much is it?
Everything you've described is like heaven to me. I'm like, oh my god, where is it?
She said if they could get like $100,000 for the entire thing,
absolutely,
they would be fine because they're in their 60s, so they don't need that much money. It would just help for like half of it paying for medical bills, the other half they would put into their retirement fund.
Right.
So, and I was just like, well, let me travel back and slap my young self for destroying my credit rating, and then I'll... But yeah, I just, and that's the closest I've ever come to a magician outside of a birthday party.
Yeah. Oh. Well, what's really interesting about magicians is and I think that in most art forms, is once people have made it and they know who they are and they're settled in who they are, they're all of a sudden absolutely available to help you, again, as long as time permits. And I have found that the magician friends that I've made, and I have about a handful that are really, really both good at what they do and good friends of mine, because there are a lot of petty people in all circles, and I don't really have a lot of time for that. So I love people that make me excited about what I do for a living and who I am inside. And I try to be the same for them, inspiring and exciting and a human sparkler, if you will. Those are the best kind of people because they're creative and they're kinetic and they're always doing something. And that's really, really neat to be around. And you can't help but catch a little bit of that enthusiasm because it is so contagious. So people who are building and moving and shaking and creating and thinking, and it's like, oh, bring it, bring it, bring it, bring it, bring it. And those folks sounded like the act that you're describing that he probably did was a stage illusion act. And it sounds like he was probably pretty well known, because that's really intense stuff that's all custom made for him. So if they were working consistently and that's the kind of things they had, they sound self-contained and they sound like they were a big stage show. And I hope that everything worked out for them. And I'm sorry that his son didn't, if you will, pick up the cloak, because it would have been a wonderful thing. It sounds like they had quite a legacy to pass on.
Well, I mean, in the age of the internet we live in, again, my memory might be a little foggy on some of the details, but you could probably like research, magicians that are, in their 60s or 70s or 50s, might have retired in Massachusetts or New England, and you might be able to kind of narrow down who it is. I don't know. And maybe the stuff is still available. Who knows?
Well, it's not even about the stuff. It's about the connection.
You did get the chance to meet him. It's kind of like, did you ever see the Burt Wonderstone movie?
Yes. With
Steve Carell, and he meets like the guy that inspired him in the retirement home.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My favorite is when he set off a smoke bomb and he was under the hospital bed, and they were both like, "He's under the bed." I know, but don't look. It's so funny. Or
he steals Grandma's watch, and Grandma's like, "My granddaughter gave that to me." I was just like, right. Oh my god. When they make movies like that, do you get called for consulting, or do you want to be involved in things like that?
I love that stuff. I just did a commercial for Aflac, where I magic consulted for just one day is all they needed me for, because commercials are shot typically very, very fast, as you probably know. And I went in and taught the Aflac duck how to do bad magic. And when I got that call, they were like, "Oh, it's kind of making fun of magic, and we don't know if you're going to want this job." And I said, "Well, here's my day rate." And they said, "Well, we agree to that." And I said, "Well, then guess what? I want the job." I'm serious, because that's at the end of the day, I love being creatively fulfilled, but we work for money, and it honestly sounded like a hell of a lot of fun. So I went down to the set, and they introduced me to the puppet, which looks like a real duck, and when they hang it up on its tree, it's devastating to see because it looks like it's in a butcher shop window. But I had a really good time on set magic consulting, and I love doing it. And it's not always super lucrative. I make a nice day rate, and I'm always happy to do it. But it is a heck of a fun time teaching other people about something you love in real time and solving problems based on your realm of expertise. And I'm uniquely suited for it because I've done both close-up and stage, and I know a lot about fixing things in front of camera, and I've done so much baptism by fire and kind of making do in my career that I can come up with stuff on the fly really quick. They said to me, "Well, we'd like the duck to shake its wing and have like a bunch of cards fall out of his wing. but we want them to all be connected. I said, like an accordion? They said, yeah. I said, hold on. Does anybody have any Scotch tape? They said, yes. And I made the prop right on the spot.
Oh.
Because I know how to do that. And if I don't know how to do it, I can figure it out. I was just called in on another commercial to make a bunch of playing cards that did different things, or greeting cards. And I said, yeah, absolutely, I can do that. And they were like, well, can you really? And I said, let me show you them. So it absolutely. And again, it's that making do and trial by fire. It's all the mistakes you make that gives you that knowledge to persevere in crisis situations, or when things are uncertain. You just go, oh, yeah, let's figure it out. No, I don't know how to do that, but we'll figure it out.
Going back to magic in a minute, you came into my mind twice when two things were mentioned about references were related to Captain America: Civil War. Robert Downey Jr. was on Jimmy Kimmel or Conan or one of those late night shows, and he said, Marissa Tomei is the hottest Aunt May I have ever seen. And then in Spider-Man Civil War, he is totally trying to hit on Aunt May to Peter, being like, is your aunt single? Because she's kind of hot. And and you popped in my head twice going, oh, they haven't seen Misty Lee, because I think she's much more beautiful than Marissa Tomei. And she plays Aunt May on the animated series.
That's very sweet. Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah.
Someone commented about that on my Facebook wall, too. And I went, well, that's all a matter of opinion. I think Marissa Tomei is prettier than I am. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Have you met Robert Downey Jr.?
I have not.
No.
See, he just doesn't know what's good for him.
Oh, yeah. Now, I've seen a couple of things here and there on videos online, which, again, going out to Las Vegas is not as easy as if you travel, whatever, and you're ever out on the East Coast, then you must come by the Radio Horror Studios sometime. There was one video in particular that caught my mind, and it really made me think a lot about my own kind of self-help project, which I mentioned to you on Facebook. That's you in a straitjacket, coming out of the straitjacket in the domestic violence video?
Yes, it is.
Now, you know how to get out of a straitjacket like Houdini did?
Yeah.
That's really cool. Is it a lot of dislocation and stuff?
It depends on the nature of the straitjacket. Houdini always used to say that it was a stark dislocation of the shoulder joint that assisted you in getting out of it. But there are other sneaky ways of making sure that it's escapable.
Oh, yes. Don't reveal your secrets. But do you watch that Houdini Doyle TV series?
I did. I actually did a press junket for them right before they went out and came in and showed them around the Houdini seance room, because the show I do at the Magic Castle, I'm actually surrounded by his stuff, and we've got one of his straitjackets in there with us.
That's a fun show.
It's a fun job. It is a fun show.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to renew it again. I think they only did 7 episodes.
Yeah, 7 or 10 or something like that.
I thought it was really fun.
Yeah, I was like, this is a good show on Fox. This is great. I hope this gets renewed.
You should let them know that, please, because I will tell you, if you are a fan of the lead actors, your affection is very well placed. They are super duper nice, because I got to do a seance for Michael Weston. And he was so excited about the show and just so happy to be in the Magic Castle, and took the time to learn so much about Houdini. It was really impressive. It was myself and Houdini historian named John Cox and Michael Weston and several members of the press. And we did a show for them, and John talked a little bit about Houdini, and Michael was just soaking it up and so effervescent in his affection for that character. And I think that he does a really good job making him kind of a smarmy, sassy, fun, bright, daring individual. And Harry Houdini in real life was all of those things. He was a lot shorter than Michael, though. Harry Houdini was only 5'2". And Michael is taller than that.
The last person who played him was Adrian Brody, I think, for an A&E movie a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Adrian did a fine job, too.
I will have to tweet the show, say,
Please.
Fox, don't cancel this.
Yes, and send an email if you can. I appreciated it. I adored it, and I retweeted, and the people involved were they're so generous, and so everyone I've ever met who's working on a show is so happy to have a job. They just kind of want it to keep going. And when it is artistically, I've said this phrase about 3 or 4 times since we started speaking, but when it can also be artistically fulfilling, there is no greater gift to a creative. And they were just so excited and hoping that the show was going to be renewed and doing their best to get the word out.
I will definitely send them a tweet. It was such a great show. There's a couple episodes I think I still need to catch up on, but when I don't know if a show is getting renewed yet or not, I don't kind of finish it right away because you know how many times you get into a show and you're like, oh, it just got canceled.
Yeah.
The straitjacket coming out of it, I was like, God, I mean, could you even, you should not probably try this at home kind of thing, unless you have a friend there with the key to the locks.
Definitely not. That definitely requires a bit of expertise and some experience, or someone there who knows how to do it to advise you. It is not something that you want to try to teach yourself, because as I have learned in magic, quite frequently asking someone if they have advice, someone who knows much more than you do, often means there is a much simpler solution that you've not yet considered because you were unaware existed.
That video was for domestic violence.
It was. It's a laugh riot, isn't it? My mom and dad had a very tumultuous relationship when I was coming up. My dad is schizophrenic, and my dad never really hit us, but he was very, very verbally abusive, and it was never predictable because he was ill. He's medicated now, everything's fine, and everybody gets along great. However, during that period, it was very touch and go. He got very sick, and my mom stayed with him because she felt, owing to conventions and personal beliefs, that once you're married, you stay married for the rest of your life. She took her vows very seriously and did not want to split the home in which her children were growing up, although it felt often unhealthy. In her opinion, the good times outweighed the bad, and so she stuck through the bad, and the bad was pretty bad. Pretty bad. He was institutionalized several times, and again, very verbally abusive. However, he got ill when I was about 23 and was institutionalized yet again, but this time he was hospitalized owing to ketoacidosis, which, as you may know, is like on the verge of a diabetic coma.
Oh.
And we didn't know he had diabetes. And my mom took him to the hospital, and she stood over his bed and told him that now things were going to change. She took him in and saved his life, and she didn't perform the medical procedures necessary to save his life, but we all diagnosed him, and she took him in, and it was a choice because he didn't want to go to the hospital. And she did, taking him in there and insisting he go save his life. And she said, now our lives are going to change, because now I feel that it is important. The kids are old enough. I'm putting my foot down. You know, our youngest is 18, and this BS is going to stop. You are going to take your medication, and you are going to be healthy, and we are going to be happy. And if we are not, I do not feel compelled to stay anymore. And he listened to her, and things straightened up because he values and adores my mother. So it changed, and that straitjacket was written as an homage to her. And what I saw in her and the strength that she mustered, it took her a long time to get it up, and it took a situational shift in order for her to really enforce it and feel strong enough to do that. She needed to feel safe enough to make that change. But I watched her endure it and stand up and say, no. And that's exactly what the woman in that video does. And what I wrote it for was to hopefully inspire other individuals, male and female, who suffer domestic abuse, to finally say no. And whether it's no, I have a bag packed, you don't know I'm leaving because this is the only safe way that I can get away from you, or no, I'm taking the kids and the dogs when we're in an okay situation, and I'm leaving because you never want to leave your pets in a domestic violence situation either. Please, everybody listen to that, please, because the pets will suffer usually. No matter what their no is, as long as it's a no, a safe no that helps them transition into a healthy life, I hoped that it would help at least one person. And when we created and shot that, I said, no matter how much this costs, because I self-produced it, I wrote it and produced it, my friend Renee directed it. And I said, no matter how much this costs, if it helps one person, it has been worth it. And we got a really nice note from an author named Neil Gaiman, who put it up on his Facebook wall. And Neil is a very kind man. I showed it to him at dinner. We were having dinner at Comic-Con with a couple of other people. And he said, this is important, and I want to help you share it. And I said, thank you. And he said, when you have your final cut, please send it to me, and I will post it. And he did. And our views went up overnight. I think I had 2,000 views on it, and he sent it up to 12 just by tweeting it. It was crazy. And he said, this is important. And a bunch of people wrote in and said, I've been through this, and I'm so happy to see this. And this means so much to me. This is my story. And I said, this is exactly why we wrote this, was to start this conversation and hopefully plant a seed of strength.
The watching the video, I really kind of like wanted to re-kickstart my own ambitions to get my own kind of self-help project reignited, which has been put on the back burner while I work on another comic book. It's the story of Dracula. We gender swapped the entire cast, and we have a mini comic book. Oh, sorry.
I said that's fun.
Oh yeah, my artist Izeda Solaris, she's 100% behind it. We got the mini comic book Resurrection of Dracula coming out this October, but thank you. We got to self-publish while we kind of maybe look for a publisher. Maybe we'll do it ourselves. We're not sure yet. Neither one of us are novice in the comic book industry enough to just be like, oh look, Marvel, I have this idea and you should publish it. I have a comic book idea about teen suicide, about two teenagers that fall in love, set in the 90s. We'll have like little things like VHS blockbuster tapes maybe in like one panel, who fall in love and they both suffer from depression, and they one of them tries to kill themselves by the end of the story. And I've been sitting on it for a while, and every time I hear or see a video or see a story like yours, I'm like, you got to find an artist to help you flesh this comic out, because I can't draw if my life depended on it. And
well, it's the idea that you're trying to convey, and if you put it out there, it will resonate with someone. It sounds like it's a very powerful, moving story.
My artist wants to do it, but it's like you are tied already into a 75-page comic book.
Yeah, so finish that and then move on to the other one.
Yeah, I'll be a couple. Dracula's going to be definitely a couple of years, and I'm kind of I want to do both at the same time. It's
as long as you're getting stuff done, baby. That's one of the tricky quagmires of being a creative individual, is making sure you finish something. Paul, my husband Paul, is a writer, as you may or may not know.
No, I've no idea.
No, who's not? Right.
He wrote some funny cartoons, right, or something.
Right.
Yeah,
he won a couple golden things. I don't know.
Yeah, and some amazing graphic novel, which, by the way, also makes me want to get my suicide comic book out there.
Pretty rad, isn't it?
Oh my! Let me tell you something. That just.
I know, it's gut wrenching.
I don't.
A laugh riot.
It's not a laugh riot. It's a beautiful comic book, and I don't want to focus on it too much because this is about you. But I never had the level of medical attention that Paul needs in the book. And for anyone listening, you check out Dark Knight by Paul Dini. You can look it up on his site or on Amazon or something, or your local bookstore. But it's a great, compelling story, and I heard about it on Kevin Smith's radio show. And I when I was 16 years old, back in 1996, I think, I was mugged and beaten up when I was walking back to my private school for being a private school kid in a town this is in Virginia. I was one of the rich kids who went to my school could have not been the worst place. It sits on a hill on the top of the town, overlooking the whole town.
Oh, wow.
So the town kind of looks at us like we're looking down on them, which we were in the physical sense.
Right.
Maybe 100 years ago when that thing was built, things were different, or it was a lot different in 1996.
Right.
And I can't even imagine when it's 20 years later. But I was mugged just for going to that school.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, the most I got out of it was a broken nose, which was easily to heal. But I was
That's still a drag.
Yeah, it's still a drag.
That you didn't ask for.
No, and again, okay. My thing is cherries, and your husband's is watermelons.
No, I think that any time that you are violated against your will, it has the same horrifying and self-rattling effect that makes all of that legitimate. I don't think that anyone's brutalization is less than the other because less physical harm was suffered in one versus one where was really truly life-threatening. I think that the violation is violation. So, rape is rape. If you don't get pregnant, that doesn't make it worse. Yes, I guess it kind of does.
Yeah,
violation is not okay.
No. And I would never ever compare rape like that. I would but me being a victim, that's why I was kind of nothing overly horrific happened to me compared to Paul. So I didn't want to be
horrific, and I don't want to drag you down into the mire. And all I'm trying to say is, violation is not okay in general.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very, very sorry that that happened to you. And I'm very, very glad that you, very much like Paul does in the story, decided to stand up.
Well, thank you.
Because you make that choice every single day. When you are a victim, you choose to recover and go on, or you choose to internalize that brutalization, be it verbal, be it physical, be it environmental, no matter what it is. You choose to endure, you choose to persevere, or you choose to curl up and decay. And it sounds like you are doing great. It sounds like you are not only okay and not only surviving, but thriving. And although you are sort of minimalizing what happened to you, you could maximize it and have it change your whole life. Well, I was mugged and it was life-changing and I can't leave my house anymore, and become completely xenophobic. I highly don't recommend that, and I would hope that you've received life rewards for venturing out and doing that, standing up. But all I want to say is, good for you. Thank you for standing up.
Well, thank you for clearing my apples to oranges analogy a little better.
I don't think there's a comparison to be made. I think there's only empathy to be extended.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's honest. You know, I mean, I've seen what Paul's been through. I've been through some crazy things myself, and I don't think that it's fair to compare victimization. I think that there is only empathy for other people who have been through what you've been through. And, you know, instead of discrediting yourself and what you've been through, you say, yeah, I've been through some crap too. And it was pretty horrible. There is no, I know that Paul wouldn't do that if he was on the mic. He wouldn't say, oh, well, you know, mine was worse. This is not a your back, my knee situation. This is a, that sucks, thank you for standing up situation. Does that make sense?
Gotcha. Yes, absolutely,
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, the biggest thing the comic book, the teen suicide thing, is something like Paul's book, just because of, and like your domestic violence video, just because I suffer from depression myself and have thought about contemplating suicide as well. We have a show coming up soon with a guest who's kind of a she's a therapist in all sorts of different ways. So we're taking a very big departure from like talking about horror movies and comic books and cartoons to really talk about, you know, kind of a big mental health issue at the same time as we segue in and out of like our love of, you know, The Conjuring or something. You know what I mean? But
I think what you're doing sounds very important, and I think it sounds like a hell of a show, and I'd be happy to help you promote it if you need that.
Oh, well, thank you very, very much. I appreciate that.
It's honest. It's very sincere.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Out of all the roles that you played, outside of being a magician, which I know is that is your career, and really who you are, it's a title.
Honestly, I work more as a voiceover actor than I do as a magician.
Oh, you do? Okay, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I work several times a week as a voice actor, and I usually do 1 or 2 shows a week as a magician. However, being a magician has made me an outlier in that casting directors know who I am. They go, "Oh, the magician! Yeah, I know who that is." You know, so because a lot of voice actresses in this town sing and dance and do improv and do all the things that I also do. I do all those things, but I also do magic. And being a broad that does magic really makes me an outlier. There are very few male magicians that are voice actors, but I think there might be only one, and she isn't even really working all that much yet. She's good, so she will, but it has definitely made me an outlier, and folks know who I am. Not everybody knows who I am. I'm certainly not famous, but I work more as a voice actor than I do as a magician. That's
okay.
Right now, I make more money voice acting, that's for sure.
Well, when it's like Disney, I see Disney on here a lot with like Spider-Man and Star Wars. That's
you don't get rich doing that stuff.
No. But out of all the roles that you voice acted, which would you have to say is your favorite?
Well, favorite is an objective term. Which one freaked me out the most? You know, like, oh my God, I'm about to do Princess Leia.
Which one did you fangirl over? Yes.
Yeah, it was definitely because I will never forget this. I was directed by a fella named Dara, who also directs Star Wars: The Old Republic. And there are a couple directors on that show. But Dara he was my primary director on Battlefront. And super nice guy. And the way that it works is you go into a studio and you put on cans, which are your headphones, and they talk to you. And they're calling in from all over. There was a woman, I believe, from Sweden on the phone, and she was really nice. And then we had Dara as well. And they were both directing, and one of them was listening for accuracies, and they would have a Princess Leia expert who knows everything she's ever said, and it's his job to make sure that that delivery is as close to what Carrie did as possible. And they would play her, and I would have to, and I wasn't able to mimic. It was a true voice match in that I was saying things that Carrie never said, but trying to sound like her, but in their brand of her, if that makes sense. And what they liked was, I believe it was the second Star Wars movie, the non-British Carrie. So we had to kind of suss out what's your flavor of Leia that you're going for, and how do we make it sound like that. So there was this line coming up, and I see it on the bottom of the screen because they put your lines on a screen, and as you say the line and they approve it, it moves down, or it moves up and your line moves up with it. And I see "Good luck and may the force be with you" coming up, and I went, oh my God. And I've got a photo of her in the white outfit with the buns, and I'm going, ah, freaking out. Like, I don't even know what happened to me. I was just like, ah. And they had no idea this was happening. I'm like doing my work, but I'm sort of starting to hyperventilate, And I said, guys, and the line pops up, and I said, guys, I'm going to need a minute. I'm really sorry. I haven't fangirled out but now I'm just about to start. And Derek clicks in, and he's got a 3-year-old son. And he goes, actually, and I hear in the background, Daddy, I gotta go poop. And he said, I'm also going to need a minute. I've got something to take care of here. I'll be right back. And he put me on hold, and I went, and now I'm not freaking out anymore. This is a job I'm doing today. And all of a sudden, it's in perspective. I am not Carrie Fisher. This is not going to make me famous. This is a job I'm just lucky to have. Let's just say the line and move on. So that's how that went. And he's completely professional. I'm not even trying to imply that it was ever an unprofessional situation. It was time for a union break anyway, but it really put into perspective that this is just a job we're all doing today. But it didn't make me any less grateful. That was rad, and I loved doing it.
Have you played the game a lot?
I haven't played the game at all. I haven't. And
it's
I was
okay.
so excited about it. Yeah, it's not. You didn't like it?
No, I never want to say I didn't like it because when I do play it, I'm like, I'm in Star Wars and I'm like shooting stuff and the sound effects, and it's a lot of fun. And new mods and new downloads have happened. But that game is not the last two. It's a lot of like, you die, you pick up, you go again. You die, you pick up, you go again, and it just. My problems with the game are very similar to what a lot of people had with the game, that it was this non-linear storyline involved, which was a big disappointment. But we kind of knew that ahead of time, but we didn't realize that all of the different levels that you could play are pretty much the exact same as the last one, just with a different goal for each one. Either it's capture the flag or capture the droid, or it's hunt and gather, or it's take out as many enemies as you can. After a while, it gets kind of dull.
Okay.
And we know there's Battlefronts 2 coming from EA, so maybe they're going to take a lot of our complaints and do something with them, hopefully, and improve upon it. Now, that's not to say I still don't pick the game up. I got to renew my PlayStation subscription to do it, but I still have fun when I do play it. I just hope they pay attention to the criticism online and, ignore the trolls, but really pay attention to the real criticism that's not just like, I hate the game, but like, I like it, but you need to fix this, and actually do something with it.
Yeah, I will tell you that having worked with EA and their creative teams on a couple of their projects, they care very, 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 very much about what the players have to say. And it's not just a focus groups thing. It is a direct feedback thing. And a lot of the designers play themselves. And so if they have complaints coming in that feel legitimate to them and that they can fix, I can't make any promises because I don't work at EA. I'm not on salary, and I certainly don't speak for them. I do know how much their creatives care, and I would say, knowing what I know of them, that they will do everything within their power to make you guys happy and make you want to play, because at the end of the day, they're selling a product. And if you would buy that product happily, as opposed to buy it begrudgingly, if they make a simple change, they're going to do it, because they do care. They definitely care.
Are you much of a gamer? You've been in a few games.
I play Hearthstone.
What's Hearthstone?
Okay, it's a World of Warcraft offshoot.
Oh, okay. I'm not a big I'm not a big
guy,
MMORPG kind of guy.
That's not what it is. It's a card game. It's like Magic the Gathering.
Oh, okay.
Really.
Which is right up your alley, Magic the Gathering and cards.
Yeah,
and
right. But it's different.
You do tarot card readings and stuff.
I do. You know who taught me how to read tarot cards is the woman who played Howard's mother on The Big Bang Theory, Carol Ann Susi.
Oh, who unfortunately recently passed away.
Yes, she was one of my best friends in the world, and I miss her terribly. She's my spirit animal.
And a lot of people who are horror fans don't know this, that she was the annoying young reporter. Yes! Yes!
Actually, when she passed away, they said, "What would you like of hers?" And I said, "Well," and I left that day. I didn't really want a lot of her stuff, just because I have memories of her, and those are priceless, and she had a lot of really nice stuff, but I don't want stuff. I want Carol Ann back. However, I took her inhaler and her bus pass and her glasses because those were 3 things that directly connected me to her. They saved her tarot cards from me because it was something we connected on. And then for Paul, I took her signed photo of Darren McGavin as Kolchak. And
wow.
He has it in his office.
Oh, that's so cool.
Because I knew how much he loves Kolchak, and so do I. And so I said, "Do you guys mind if I take this signed photo of Darren McGavin?" And they said, "No, go ahead, take it." And he passed away too, So Paul has it hanging. He has the assistant's signed photo from him to her in his office. It's pretty cool.
And there was
the writing's all faded. It's so old.
And there was an homage to Kolchak in the recent X-Files revival in the 3rd episode.
There was? I didn't see it. What'd they do?
Mulder and Scully versus the Were-Monster. It's one of the funny Monster of the Week episodes. They encounter a monster who gets bitten by a human and turns into a human. And he runs around in Kolchak's costume.
Nice.
Yes, he has such ridiculous views of things, where he is the one of the funniest scenes in the world is, and Gillian Anderson wanted to do this, where he's telling Mulder his day-to-day activities. He's like, and then this woman came in, and it shows Gillian Anderson coming in saying, "I think there's something wrong with my phone, because guys aren't sending me pictures of their junk anymore. Would you like to show me your junk?" And she proceeds to unbutton her top or whatever and go into the back room. And then this scene of the two of them having sex. And Mulder's like, "That did not happen." And Gillian Anderson begged to do something completely out of Scully's character for that. She talks about on the DVD extras and stuff like that. That was her idea.
Wow.
Yeah.
It sounded like it made you laugh pretty
much. It was, the whole episode is so funny. And they even have tombstones engraved to some of their departed show directors, like Kim Manners.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's always so nice when they do that, because it means that they're loved by not just the franchise, but the people involved with it. And I think that that's just wonderful.
Yeah. And it's Kim's grave that Mulder comes over and he wipes the leaves off the top or whatever and pats before turning his attention back to the creature.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it really shows that the characters have a sense of humor, especially when they want to do something, because they played the characters 16 years ago. They played the characters 16 years ago, and they're coming back, returning to a character that they know very well, but they gotta mix it up and do something different, Totally. Gillian Anderson being a blonde instead of a redhead, and her wanting to be a little bit more kind of playful than Scully being with a stick up her ass, which she was.
Yes.
And
that was part of what made her fun, though, because David Duchovny did such a beautiful job too.
True, but it's definitely you can see why she's wanted to do that, having done so many other things since the X-Files has ended.
Oh, sure.
And she's going to be at the Boston Comic Con coming up. Oh my God, I hope to meet her.
Well, I hope you do too.
But not to go into too further into this, because you've been on for a while, and I don't want to keep up too much more of your time. Is tarot card reading very easy to learn? Is it very difficult? Do you have any advice for people who want to get into it? Do you have to have the gift?
No, I am not psychic. I don't claim to be. I don't claim that my ghosts are real. I always say that the difference between my seances and seances that you would experience at a New Age shop or with a quote-unquote real psychic is my ghosts show up on time, every time. And what they're going to do is very predictable to me. But I am not psychic and don't claim to be. The way that Carol Ann taught me to read, and the way that I continue to read, is through intuitive, glorified life coaching. And basically, I will look at tarot cards and knowing academically what they stand for, and also knowing what some of the symbols, i.e. the colors of the oral rainbow, red is passion and anger, simple breaking things down. Orange is balance. Green is nature and peace, that kind of stuff. Looking at all of that stuff, I will combine those symbols, removing myself completely from the equation, and tell the person what I see. Not what I think, not what I want them to hear, but what's on those cards. And say, for example, here is this is a knight card, and here is a knight riding a gray horse with a red cloak, and he's going forward and holding his baton forward. And this baton is usually represents career or social things. If the Knight of Wands. And I think I'm mixing up symbols saying this. I'm just
no, that's fine. I don't know anything about tarot cards, so
okay. Well, yeah, but somebody listening to this will, and they're going to send me some hate mail and be like, "You don't even know what you're talking about." But whatever. So I'm just using this as an example of making up my own card if I'm wrong. And if I'm right, then good. But, okay, and he's riding a gray horse, which means that's not black, it's not white, it's not committed. Is there a decision that you want to charge forward on, but you're not really sure in which direction to go? And then I let the person respond. And if they go, well, not really. Okay, well, let's look at some of the other stuff on this card. I don't care if I'm right. This isn't about me. This is about you. And sitting down and seeing what you have drawn on these cards, talking about the issues in your life, and leaving, because usually people are looking for advice. So I don't give advice, but the cards will. And if it's not what you want to hear, and it usually isn't what you want to hear, it's what you need to hear, that ends up coming out. It's kind of cool.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I do hope there will be people listening who are interested in tarot card reading. I know a couple of friends of mine who try to buy their decks, and they're like, this is the deck that's going to be for me. I really want to learn how to do this. I recently got a tarot card deck from a Kickstarter for Broadsword Comics, Jim Valiant and Holly Golightly. Their Tarot Witch of the Black Rose comic book series.
Yeah.
They did tarot cards for the Kickstarter.
Nice.
So I have a tarot deck. I don't know how to read tarot cards. I got the deck because you can also play playing cards with them too. They're just really long playing cards.
That's what they were. They were a card game. Then it turned into divination, especially in the States. It originated in Italy hundreds of years ago as a game. And then it became a divination tool after coming over here just 100 or so years ago.
Did you ever watch Penny Dreadful, the Showtime series?
We watched a little bit of that. I liked it a hell of a lot.
Yeah, she did a whole tarot card reading thing on that show as well.
Yeah, like an intuitive card reading. Those weren't tarot cards, I don't think. Oh, no, they were. I think they were numbered.
They were? Okay. It just got canceled, though,
It's
after
been a
3
while.
seasons, unfortunately.
What's that?
It just got canceled after 3 seasons, unfortunately.
Yeah, but they knew it was going to be canceled. So from what I read, they finished the story, and I haven't seen season 3 yet. So no spoilers.
I haven't seen season 3 either, so don't worry. Okay. Well, where can people find out more information about you and check you out, and where are you located in Las Vegas? So if they ever go out to Vegas, they can catch one of your shows.
I'm in Vegas for the weekend, but I live in Los Angeles, California.
Okay, sorry.
No, you were right. You were right about where we are.
Okay.
You can find out about me at mistylee.com, www.mistylee.com, MISTYLEE.
Okay.
On Twitter at Misty_Lee. On Instagram at Magical Misty Lee, and I believe my Vine is the same. And I would love it. And Snapchat is also Magical Misty Lee, but I never use it.
Gotcha.
Because I'm old.
You're not old.
Well, I'm older. You know what it is? I look at it and I go, I don't really have anything that interesting to say on here.
You're 4 years older than me. You do not look like your age either, so you're not old.
It's not about looks. It's about technology, man. I look at the Snapchat and say, I don't need my face to look like a panting dog today. I just don't need that to happen right now. And it's rad that it does it. It's really cute, and I love to play with this stuff, but I'm not going to post it. Hell no.
Well, I appreciate you very much for coming on the show. I've been a longtime fan, and I've been a bigger fan of your voiceover work without even realizing it until I saw your IMDb and everything you've done. I'm like, I own that and that. And I've seen it and seen it and seen it.
There's a lot of stuff not on there, too.
I've played with Misty Lee in video games. Get it? Bad jokes. Love them.
Love it.
Again, thank you so much for honoring us with an interview.
Hey, it was really fun. Thank you for being so patient with me today.